All right, guys, welcome back to the Lake Norman Business Podcast. This is season 2. I'm Danny Decker. I'm here with Richie Peplin, as always, and our guest today, we're very excited to have Tracy Alston with New Mentality PC. So we're going to have a great conversation with her and get to hear about her business and some of the marketing that she's done. But before we dive into that, I want to thank our sponsors. So today we're being sponsored by the XL Marketplace Breakfast, which is presented by New Song Church. So XL is a quarterly marketplace breakfast and a gathering for entrepreneurs, business leaders, and those looking to grow in leadership. You can learn more about Excel, including the date of the next breakfast, by visiting newsongchurch.org. That's a breakfast that Richie and I both go to all the time, and we'd love to see some of you guys out there. And we're also sponsored today by Chapter One Films. So Chapter One Films provides high-quality video marketing services for business owners in the Charlotte and Lake Norman area. Their goal is to help businesses grow and tell their story more effectively using video. Visit chapteronefilms.biz to request your free consultation. So big thanks to our sponsors. The big change this season is we're here on video, and New Song Church is making that happen, and Chapter One Films is making that happen. So big thanks to you guys, and so let's do this. So Tracy, tell us a little bit about New Mentality PC.
Yes, first off, thank you guys so much for having me. I love being a part of this, so super excited for what you guys are doing, but also the opportunity to be here. So I am the founder and CEO of New Mentality PC. It's located in Mooresville, North Carolina, so not too far from where you guys are. We're a biofeedback, neurofeedback, and counseling facility where we specialize in providing biofeedback services for people with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, traumatic brain injuries, trauma, migraine headaches. We can treat those things without medications.
Very cool. So your shirt says, ask me about neurofeedback. So tell us about neurofeedback.
Great question. So neurofeedback literally looks at feedback from the body. First, let me talk about biofeedback as a whole. Biofeedback also looks at biofeedback from the body. So we can measure heart rate variability, muscle tension, brain wave activity, which is the neurofeedback. We want to see how the brain and the body respond and perform under stress. So we literally place sensors on various parts of the body and measure people's physiological responses to stress.
Interesting. And then based on that, you can put together somewhat of a plan to, I'm not sure if corrected is the right word, but
absolutely,
to change it or to optimize it.
There you go. So based on the feedback that we get from the brain, for example, let's say if we're working with somebody who has an overactive brain, they may be trouble with anxiety or trouble shutting the mind off. We take a picture for what's called a brain map of their brain to figure out what their brain's doing in real time. We show them that information, and then we create training programs to help optimize their brain's performance. So with that, we can help reduce stress, anxiety, improve mood and function.
Wow. Can I ask what some examples of what a plan like that would entail?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so normally we start people off if they're coming in to see us, whether they're being referred from a doctor or if they've been referred by their school, or they just want to come in because they want to feel better from a mental perspective. We do an initial assessment, which is called a brain map, which looks at 19 different areas of the brain. We're measuring levels of power, so we want to see if anything's overactive, which could be the racing thoughts, trouble shutting that mind off, busy brain, or it can be an underactive brain, not quite producing enough power. Brain fog, focus, attention, processing, learning, memory, or we can see a combination of those things going on. So that initial assessment gives us a baseline picture of what their brain is doing. We also do neurophysiologic stress testing, where we can see how the heart's performing, how the tension in the shoulders or the back, how they're performing and responding. So we start off with the assessments, and then we create training programs to improve that based on the information that we get.
That's really cool.
Very cool. So you work primarily, who is your typical, patient?
Yes.
Is it kids with ADD or?
Kids, adults, and families. Our normal clientele coming in is mostly kids or adults with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, migraine headaches, depression. So we do a lot with clinical mental health. And we also provide counseling as well. So we might have kids with ADD, ADHD, or test anxiety, or adults, or just families in general looking for support.
Very cool. Very cool. What led you into this line of work?
Yes, so I'm a licensed professional counselor. So we have to do continuing education hours, CEUs. And I was at a conference in 2010 in Cary, North Carolina, getting my continuing education hours. And a veteran came on via Skype and talked to our group. He was struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury. He was on 36 different medications, attempted suicide 5 times, lost his entire family. He said it wasn't until he learned about his brain and his body through a doctor during neurofeedback that his whole life changed. And so he was just there to kind of share with us, more information. And in that moment, my life changed. I was like, I would love to know more about that, bring it back to my clientele. So I started my practice in 2012 in Mooresville, offering this type of treatment, alternative treatment for people. So we've been in business since 2012, and then I started another company this year looking more for performance.
Wow, okay. So taking that same kind of thing, when you say taking a performance, like improve your golf game kind of stuff?
Improve your golf game, improve your mental edge. If you're business owners like yourselves, being able to kind of stay in that zone, stay in that focus. So we use that for executives and for sports teams and athletics and things like that, corporations, looking for a mental edge. And that company is called Mental Edge Fitness Solutions, where we use the neurofeedback and the biofeedback, but we also combine that with our own model of mental edge yoga, mental edge meditation, mental edge massage, where we're offering the complete package of mind, body connection.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool. So, okay, so our audience is business owners primarily.
Yes.
And Richie and I both own businesses.
Yes.
And so can I put you on the spot and ask you,
Yes.
are there any sort of tips you can share with like people in our world, right? Who like mental performance is obviously a very big deal as you're like leading a business. So what can I take home from this and do differently over the next couple of months? Is there anything I can do that's going to make a difference?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that, because that's exactly where we're always kind of headed, trying to figure out how do we perform at a high level consistently, right?
Yeah.
And as we know, sleep is huge. And as business owners, we're constantly engaged, whether it's technology or emails or whatever the demands may be, phone calls. So I really try to help people optimize that sleep time. So setting schedules is key. It's probably something that we've heard all of our lives, but really getting consistent about a sleep schedule. So whether that meaning you shutting things down, shutting things off, putting a blue light on your phone so that way it's not activating that beta wave saying that I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm focused, but doing things to really kind of help get our mind in a quieted state for whatever the task is. And so with our clientele, we want to have them set schedules around, if it's sleep, have a consistent schedule around sleep. You know, if you have folders and windows open up for work or a place in your home that's optimized for work, let that be work so that your brain can switch gears and know when I'm in a zone to perform for work and I'm in the bedroom performing for sleep. You know, so really kind of creating consistent habits around that is key.
Okay, so the brain does work best when you compartmentalize and it knows what to expect?
Absolutely.
So if I walk into the office, like, I should be ready. It shouldn't be my meditation place or something like
Exactly.
that.
Unless
Okay.
that's something that you're used to doing in that place.
Right.
You know how people are like, I multitask. We don't really multitask very well. That's not really true. We're doing a lot of different things, not meaning we're doing them very well. So
Right.
having the brain set up and having yourself set up where you can say, I'm at the table to do work, the brain gets in that work mode. I'm at the table to do work. So giving yourself those little brain hacks.
Makes sense. I have trouble like working out at home. Sometimes
Yes.
I'll be like, oh, you know, I want to go to the gym. I just, you know, it's easier if I'm already home. I'll try to work out at home. I just can't do it because
Right.
home is not where I do that.
Right.
But if I go to the gym, you know, you're not going to see me on a machine just like reading a book.
Exactly. Exactly. Because our brains kind of go that way, you know, when it's in a place that we're used. But if we're combining so many different things with what we're supposed to be doing, then the brain gets in front of the TV or the brain gets in front of the computer and it shuts down. Especially if it's used to doing several different things when you're in front of that computer, it's not sure what you need it to do in that moment. So creating those little moments, if you can, where it's like, okay, I compartmentalize work, sleep, food, responding to emails, responding to messages.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Okay, so one last question here before we dive into sort of like
Yeah.
the marketing side of things. So you're talking about neurofeedback and
Yes.
how it's kind of an alternative. So how, because I just don't know a lot about that world. So how
Yes.
is, like, why do we need an alternative? Why is sort of your approach, like, why do you go in that direction instead of the more conventional, like, treatment?
Great question. And we look at what we do as really that kind of preventative measure just of maintenance and performance. So if you think about our physical body, we go to the gym to exercise, to work out, to feel good. What are we doing for our brains? A lot of the solutions that are here for brain improvement are chemical based. Take this pill to improve sleep. Take this pill to improve attention. What if there was ways that we could do passively and get the same benefit without that side effect? So with neurofeedback and biofeedback, we're literally able to say, let's improve our attention and focus based on what our brain needs. So that brain map, just like if we're kind of getting our body measured, it shows us what areas of the brain can benefit from improvement instead of saying, take this anxiety pill, where there are 7 different types of anxiety. Which one is this pill treating? right? So if we can have a solution that just says, hey, let me show you what your heart rate looks like. Let me show you what your brain looks like when it's overactive or overstressed. And then let me show you, give you feedback on how to reduce that without the chemical, but with the same benefit. Yeah. It makes sense,
Yeah.
you know? So giving us ways to see, because we're always measuring how are we performing. If we can kind of get a picture and a graph that shows us from a brain perspective, how are we performing, we as business owners know, we get out there and look at it and say, okay, I can improve that. Show me how. Show me how. And so we literally place sensors on people and hook them up in front of that computer screen, and they train their brain just like they do at the gym, training their body, improving that muscle.
That's really cool. I've got to check this out.
It's awesome. I was a former athlete too. I played at Wake Forest University, and I wish I would have had this type of technology available when I was playing ball, because it was never about how physically conditioned we were. We were in very good shape. Our wins and losses came down to mental. It came down to mental. It was never a physical thing. It was more about mentally being fit.
Yeah.
So that's what these companies that I've created are really for, is mental fitness, helping people really zone in, tune in, and be more mindful about their mental wellness and mental health.
That's great.
I'll
What
tell
did
you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll tell you, I'm not a good golfer by any stretch, but I do
Yes.
enjoy playing golf once in a while.
Yes.
But I definitely physically can play better than my game ends up being, and I know exactly why it is.
Yes.
I'll be about to swing, about to hit the ball, and then my focus goes from that to like a squirrel up in the tree. And that's where it all goes downhill. And I know it happens.
Absolutely.
But then when I can focus, it's beautiful, it feels great, everything's wonderful, but it's just that little split second, and I'm like, oh, squirrel.
Squirrel. Yes.
And if I could just focus, it would change everything.
Absolutely. I mean, our mind is our most formidable opponent. I mean, that's the truth. It really does kind of get in the way when we need it to kind of stay out of the way, right?
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, come see me for golf. I'll take care of you.
Okay.
Train your brain, get you in the zone.
There you go.
Mental Edge Fitness would be for you. We
Mental
do a
Edge
lot of
Fitness.
work with golfers, and so that would be a great place to
I
start.
might have to play more golf.
There you go. There you go.
Awesome. All right, so Tracy, tell us a little bit about, so you started your own business
Yes.
a few years ago, and
Yep.
you're doing something that's a little different. It's a little, it's not the norm. So how was that, what was that process like as far as kind of spreading the word, getting the message out there, introducing people to a new concept? Like, how has that journey gone for you?
Absolutely. So great point. For people talking about, biofeedback, neurofeedback, it's like, what? What are you doing? It's this weird science, right? But literally a lot of our work has been in just education. We've had to do a lot of marketing with things like this so people can start to ask the question, what is neurofeedback? What is biofeedback? But we're doing a lot of work with just meeting people directly one-on-one, whether we go inside of the schools and do a presentation, whether inside the doctor's office doing presentation. We've had to do a lot of just on-the-ground education around that there's something new out here. There's something not new, I'm sorry, it's been around since 1960s, but it's something available out here that everyone can benefit from. Yeah. So a lot of our work has really been around just providing education, number one, about mental health and mental wellness. Number two, about alternatives that are available, just like food. Food is a fuel for the brain and the body. So neurofeedback is really like that training equipment for the brain. If you're going on an elliptical, this is kind of like going training for the brain. So education has been what we've been spending our time on, really just trying to help people become more aware that this is here.
So is that something you do in person, one-on-one? Like you mentioned you go to schools. What else does that look like? Because the reason I ask that is because there's a lot of practices out there, a lot of business types that I think would really benefit from that approach.
Yes.
Instead of sell,
Yes.
it's educate,
Yes.
provide value, help people improve their lives.
Providing value.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what does that look like for you guys?
Yes, so we literally just came back from a presentation in Hickory, North Carolina, where I was there and I did a presentation for social workers. Adoption assistance is a big thing there, where they have a lot of clients that are going through the system, whether it's going to group homes or whether it's being out-of-home placement. And so I was just there in front of a group at one time where they had their staff meeting, and I came in to provide information about new mentality, about our services, about biofeedback, neurofeedback, what that can do for their clients, what that can do for their clients' families. And it's really about that. Selling's the end part of that. It's about adding value. So mostly when we show up, we're just trying to bring awareness that, hey guys, I know you've tried this, I know you've tried that, I know you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars here, but if there was another option available that may come along with less of the side effects and less of the turnover in a sense of what these kids are going through, try us, So we show up just to provide value, provide a seminar about biofeedback, about mental fitness, and that's kind of how it goes.
That's cool. Yeah, imagine not having to be on that medication for life.
Yeah, if that's even an option for people, letting them know that that's an option for people. You know? So that's been the biggest part of what we do, is just figuring out how we can get into these spaces and avenues and just add value. Whether for Mental Edge Fitness, it'll be more in the corporate world, trying to find a solution for stress management. You know, and so corporations, if you're listening, if you're looking for solutions for stress management, Mental Edge Fitness could be that partner for you, just in providing a workshop, a talk about stress and what it does to the body, what it does to the brain over a long time, you know.
Oh yeah. Stress is a productivity killer, big time.
Yes.
Right, and that's where people get burned out and they go off and do something else.
That's it.
So that's a huge thing for business.
That's it. And it's about really taking care of, you know, ourselves, self-care.
Yeah.
You know, self-care. How do we really take care of ourselves in a way that's healthy, that gives us a reset, recharge?
Yeah.
You know, because we're in the businesses where we're taking care of other people, taking care of your clients, taking care of their needs, but how do you give it back to yourself to make sure you're performing at your edge?
Yeah. No, I love it. So is it primarily in-person stuff, or do you do what do you do digitally? Do you do anything digital, or like, what does that look like?
Social media. We're on social media, New Mentality PC, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us there. Not quite as active there. Need to get more active in that area too, because I think that's a huge place where everybody is.
Cool. Yeah. So kind of as we're wrapping up here, like our audience is business owners, right?
Yes.
And people just like us. And so if there's anything that you've learned kind of over the last couple years in this journey, like one piece of marketing advice that you'd really like to share with other business owners out there, what would that be?
I would say make connections. I think making valuable connections in terms of literally meeting people, whether it's emailing, social media marketing style, making these connections and figuring out how you can go into their organization and provide value. Not so much about what you can get or trying to get a client. It's really about establishing relationships. And I think if you can do that on the ground, then the opportunities for clients and work will be there. It's about having these types of relationships and figuring out what it is that we all do and how what you do may be a support for somebody that I know and vice versa. So I would say for any business, startup, especially if it's a startup company, a lot of times, as you know, starting a business, you don't have a lot of funds. You know, so that can be a challenge for people in the startup situation. If you haven't been in business 5, 6, 7 years, start simple. You know, go to somebody's door, knock on the door and let them know who you are, what it is that you do. Have a conversation, take them to lunch, do something that can kind of get somebody to remember who you are. So I would say build relationships is going to be the most valuable thing that I've learned in this business. It's about meeting people and kind of putting yourself out there, but also seeing out how you can add value.
Love it. Love it. So Tracy, where can people go to learn more about you and your businesses?
Yes, you can go to www.newmentalityinc, so that's NEWMENTALITYINC.com. You can check us out on the website. We're also on Facebook, New Mentality. We're on Instagram, New Mentality PC. And you can find us there.
Awesome. Well, Tracy, this was super cool. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys.
Wish you continued success. It sounds like you're doing great. And I think you'll probably hear from both Richie and I. We both need to take our golf games to the next level.
Yeah,
so thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you guys.